Hello and welcome back to the channel for another live stream. Again, at a relatively short notice, sorry about this, although it is the same time as the one last week, so I guess I've got that going in my favour. So this is going to be a continuation of what we started last week. For anyone who wasn't here in the last stream, just to bring you up to speed, basically last week, last Sunday evening, we had a chilled stream where we sort of went through a load of Doctor Who promo pics, sort of predominantly from Series 1, a little bit in Series 2 as well. We also went on loads of tangents about a whole host of stuff, really. So, yeah, and just general nostalgia, for Doctor Who, for our childhoods. So, yeah, basically, with this one, we're going to be continuing. We're going to be looking at the promo pics from Series 2, episode by episode. And I'm going to be sort of going through them each in turn and adding them in the background. Not that you'll see this yourselves, but I'll be adding them to my own personal archive because I like to have all the promo pics sort of on file, And I don't have a lot of the early ones. I have a lot of the later ones, but not many of the early ones. So it's a good excuse to do that, and also just get a stream out of it as well, really, and just go through promo pics because, like I said last week, there are quite a few shots from sort of Series 2 and Series 1 and Series 3 as well, all these early episodes from the revived era, which are familiar to some of us, of a certain age, from magazines, posters, sticker books, trading cards, whatever. There are images that were ubiquitous on all that merchandise. And so, yeah, it's just an excuse really to look back at those. As you can see, we have this website here, which I'll be using predominantly, which has all the promo pics up to a certain point. There are other websites as well. Just very briefly, you have your far away sites. Obviously, they only have stuff from Series 5 onwards. You also have your Black Archive, which we might take a look at some points. They've got some great stuff on there. So, yeah, and there's Catherine Tate again from last week. I left that open just to come back to. So, we did actually go through the New Earth promo pics last time, I believe. But I only realised that just before I started streaming. And of course, I sort of promised this on the thumbnail because I've got Rose Tyler in her New Earth outfit. So we'll quickly go through these again. It was the end of the stream, to be honest. I didn't give it a load of attention, to be honest. There are a couple of things here that I would like to pick up on, actually. Like, obviously you got your stuff from the Gower Peninsula in Wales, where they filmed the opening bit, notoriously windy location shoot there. And I believe, actually, that picture there, I believe in the background, somewhere in the background, by the coast, behind this cliff with a TARDIS on it, it's where they shot in Torchwood Miracle Day. They shot Gwen's little cottage somewhere in that area. So yeah, there are that one of Rose there, for example, that is a classic example of one that was everywhere, back in the day, and that one of the Doctor as well. That's a very iconic one from the Cassandra's party scene at the end of that story. There are one or two others I was flicking through as well. That one of the Doctor with the green lighting in his the little pods for the cursed people. What are they called? The patients or whatever they are. They're not cursed. It's not their fault, really. So they were sort of, guinea pigs for the hospital. That one of Cassandra as well. Obviously, very iconic. That one of Rose, put on the thumbnail. That's an iconic one as well. And I think there might be one or two more. All these ones of the cats. To be honest, all these ones of the cats. And the cursed, whatever I call them, the cursed people as well. Those people. There are images that aren't on this page, I think, but I do remember a lot of images of those guys from back in the day. And then we're at the end of that one. So let's swiftly move on. I will take a look at the chat in a minute and see what's going on. If you are here and you are enjoying the stream, then first and foremost, please do leave a like. That would really help me out. And just make yourself known in the chat. Give me your thoughts and opinions and all this sort of stuff that we're talking about, and in your memories of Doctor Who promo pics and stuff like that, and of series 2. Really nice as well. I mean, obviously, it's a bonus, but be really nice to get our first super chat. I've never had a super chat before on this channel. We did get our first channel member last week. I see he's in the chat. Will Newlands, hello. I will say hello to the rest of you in a bit. But yeah, that was great. So if you feel able to support the channel in any way, that'd be great. Either through channel memberships, super chats, Patreon, whatever. That'd be fantastic. And suffice to say, you will get a special shout out in the stream if you do that within the stream. But yeah, without further ado, let's move on to Tooth and Claw. So I will just open up a page for these pics. Yeah, we have Rose and Queen Victoria and the telescope there. More of Rose and the Doctor. His weird little outfit with the brown undershirt thingy bob and the t-shirt. So the Brethren, of course. I mean, back in the day, there were maybe we'll come on to them in a minute, but there were definitely photos of those guys with those distinctive red outfits. They were in your books, your magazines, etc. Queen Victoria, of course. Iconic, absolutely iconic. Crikey. Okay, interesting. That is a cool set, isn't it, with the telescope? That is a cool set. Tooth and Claw, as an episode which I don't know what I feel about it. That's a cool shot as well. That's a very cool shot. I don't think I've seen that one before. And that's the point of this as well, to go through these promo pics and perhaps see rare gems that we haven't seen before. And this episode is okay. I remember it being sort of fairly average. I mean, it's got a good score. It's got some good action moments. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those ones that sort of is over quite quickly, or sort of is sort of constructed of these like set pieces, or just like loads of running down corridors, and there's not much more to it than that. I mean, essentially, it is a sort of base under siege story, I suppose. And a haunted house, not haunted house, but sort of in that genre, I guess. It's all fairly contained to that one location. I want to take a look at the chat. I think let's just leave that photo of Rose up there. We've got 13 people watching, I think, which is fantastic. Please do leave a like if you are enjoying. We've had 3 likes so far. It'd be great to get more. Ben Miller, I think Ben put this message on before the stream actually started, but Ben Miller would like a spin-off with the Metacrisis Doctor and Rose Tyler. I'll perhaps discuss that in a moment or two. Googleplex Flex, hello. Doctor Master, hello. Darn you, Richard, I was meant to sleep tonight. I'm very sorry. My condolences. We have got some Evil Dan memes in the chat. Fantastic. And yes, Love and Monsters will be covered in this stream. We didn't cover it last week. We will be covering it this week. We will in a bit. Yeah, Will, hello. Sam Fowler, hello. Great to have you back with us. Will, did anyone else see the guy who shot the Flux Steelbook? What a child. Oh, what a Chad. Oh, right. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't personally use that word myself. It was just really stupid, to be honest. But I don't think he actually shot the Flux Steelbook. I think it was like photoshopped or something. But it was a weird one. I mean, I always dislike that when people sort of destroy Doctor Who merchandise of any sort of description, really. I think there was something back in the day, a few years back, where someone did they was it for series 9 or 10 or something, and someone took a hammer to one of the discs and split it up into loads of shards, and it was the disc of I don't know, Doctor Who Extra or something that people didn't want, and so they just sort of took a hammer to it. I don't know. But yeah, that stuff, no, it's not cool, really, to be honest. Not cool. Whatever your opinion on Flux, that's not cool. Iconic photo of Tennant there in the library. Books. Books, books, books. 2 million like had. Great to have you with us. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. JW Newell, hello. Great to have some familiar faces. Zachary Scott, hello. James Top Boy, hello. As long as it's not Lady Who again, we'll all be good with 14. What? I mean, personally, I am all for another female Doctor. That is not an opinion that I share, I'm afraid, with you there. I mean, yeah, sure, you know, we'll have male Doctors again one day. We'll have a mixture of the two, but that is not an opinion I can get behind, I'm afraid. Fugitive Doctor spin-off, says Zach. Absolutely. Or Zachary, even. We've got some nice praise for Flux going on in the chat, which is great. Yeah, you know. I still don't know quite what I think of it. I think, in terms of my opinions on like the Jodie Whittaker seasons, like comparing them to each other, it's a weird one because with Flux, what I always find puzzling about Flux and when people talk about Flux is they always say like, oh, what's going on in the chat here? That is not gonna appear. Just a minute, I need to get rid of that. There we go. Great. It's gone. Yeah. Goodness me. Right. Yeah, no, I was on to Flux when I was talking about Flux. What I always find puzzling is when people say... I mean, to be fair, people say this every time there's a new series of Doctor Who, certain quarters of the fandom. You know, this whole idea of, we've reached the end of Tooth and Claw now. This whole thing where people are like, with Flux, it was great to have that week-to-week buzz again, because that's something we hadn't had in a while. And I think people forget that with Series 12, actually, that was a big part of Series 12 as well. I mean, sure, it wasn't serialised, Series 12. But there was a buzz from week to week. Like, you know, as soon as the Master had come back in Spyfall Part 1, and then they had those mad trailers from like BBC America, I think it was, where every week they were literally hyping the episode, like whatever episode it was, like Orphan 55 or whatever. They were like saying, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever, the best thing since sliced bread. You don't want to miss this, you know. Lovely shot of Tennant and Elizabeth Sladen and K9 there. And again, iconic, absolutely iconic. Love it. K9 and Sarah Jane Smith. Yeah, so that's the thing I always find weird about that. You know, like there's always an element of it. Like every season, someone will say, "Oh, it's a return for form for Doctor Who, return to form." Of course, other people will always slag it off, but it's just an interesting one. You know, and of course, historically, you know, like there is that sort of what was it called, like recency bias, I think, or something. It's called something like that, where like in polls and stuff, people are more likely to be kind to, you know, the more recent episodes because of the novelty of them being new and all that sort of stuff. Whereas, you know, a few years down the line, people might respond differently and sort of critique them a bit more. But with Flux, it was an interesting one for me because I was sort of like I enjoyed it. You know, I did enjoy it. You know, first and foremost. I had some reservations about pretty big reservations about the finale, although then again, you know, as time goes on, I'm like, well, yeah, it could have been different, but I'm thankful for what we got, to be honest, you know, and like, yeah, it's just good to appreciate things for what they are. But yeah, I don't know. I think one thing I feel about Flux particularly is that it was just like the serialized thing worked really well for the most part. But I think as well, because it was all so connected, which on the one hand was great, on the other hand, it ended up feeling like quite a short series, or in the sense as well that, like, I guess if you didn't like one episode, you're probably not going to like the whole lot. Like, it was hard to sort of differentiate between them, for better or for worse. And yeah, in that sort of sense, lovely photo of Tant there, just to chip in. But yeah, in that sense, it sort of felt a bit like just one episode that was stretched out over loads of episodes, like a whole series. And so you perhaps didn't get the variety that you would get in a standard season. Like, it somehow ended up feeling like, simultaneously feeling like, you know, more jam-packed and more varied than usual, and like bigger scale than usual, bigger scale storytelling, and also simultaneously smaller scale because it was just one story. So I don't know, really. I don't know. But yeah, in terms of where I'd rank them, I don't think I'd say it is the best Whittaker series. I think, you know, controversially, probably, Series 11 is actually the one that I am personally most fond of, for various personal reasons, really, and all sorts. But I just feel like it had the clearest idea of what it was doing and what it wanted to be, and yeah, for that reason, it was at once different, but also going back to the show's roots. It was a nice sort of soft reboot and a nice sort of chance again to go back to the storytelling of season 1, essentially. Season 1 of the whole show, you know, back in 63 and 64 with the first Doctor, and do those types of stories again, and almost sort of say, you know, you don't need to have watched any Doctor Who prior to this. A fantastic shot of talent there, just to say. But yeah, you know, it was almost like starting from scratch again with Doctor Who, and I get why people didn't really like that necessarily, because they found it basic or uninteresting or whatever, or boring. But I quite liked that vibe to it, because it was sort of like yeah, we are sort of treading the same ground a bit in terms of going back to the basics and stuff. Oh, heck, that's quite freaky. Yeah, it was sort of treading that same ground, as you know, previous seasons and previous stories and stuff. Treading water a bit, I suppose. But ultimately, yeah, I thought it was a brave thing to do. It was a brave thing to do, to strip it back so much, and also I think Series 11 is the most varied in terms of storytelling. Like, you know, Series 12 famously is like predominantly set on Earth. Like, every episode basically, apart from like the finale, is set on Earth. And then in Flux as well, I was thinking about this. In Flux, the only places that we visit that aren't Earth are the planet Time, the Temple of Atropos, and Tacteon's division ship. And everything else is either on Earth, or like a spaceship that's orbiting Earth, like the Sontaran ship, or well, I guess I say that you do get your little cameos, don't you, of like little planets where Bal and Vinda are hunting for each other. Hunting? That sounds very sinister. No, like looking for each other, searching. Maybe a better word there. No, to be fair, okay, you do get that, but even then, those planets are like, you know, they are basically Earth, like in the sense that they look just like Earth. You know, have like your viaducts in the background or whatever of quite a few of those planets. Like, it works. You know, I'm not you know, not saying it doesn't work, but it is quite funny in that sense, because yeah, that those planets are essentially Earth. So yeah, I mean, whereas a fantastic shot of Elizabeth Sladen there, sorry, but yeah, with Series 11, you know, you go to Desolation, you go to the Kablam warehouse on Kandoka, or the moon of Kandoka, isn't it? You go to the Saranga ship, what's it called? Well, yeah, it's called Strangler, isn't it? And the Rhesus 1 is where they're going. And Ransker of Carlos, obviously. So yeah, I just feel like Series 11 is the most varied. It's the most out there. It's the most sort of experimental in lots of ways. Well, it is and it isn't. You know, it's going back to the basics, but that is a brave thing to do in context of what has been before. But yeah, I am very behind with the chat. We've got 16 people watching, which is fantastic. Please do leave a like if you're enjoying this. And consider supporting the channel in other ways if you can. It'd be great to have our first super chat ever in this stream. That'd be fantastic. Ben thinks that Series 13 is the best Whittaker series. Yeah, fair enough. 2 million like head. Flux was cracking until the finale. Yeah, to be fair. Well, Giggleplex Flex likes the finale. Yeah, I mean, let's maybe talk. Let's talk about the finale. Let's talk about the Vanquishers and Flux a bit more. I mean, I have to say, like, some people say, it's quite a common sort of bandwagon opinion to have, to say that, basically Flux all fell apart. Basically, like, I don't know, as soon as the opening credits rolled for Once Upon Time, or as soon as Village of the Angels happened, or as soon as Survivors of the Flux happened. Like, basically, generally people seem to all agree that War of the Sontarans was a really good episode, and then, like, at some point after that, whether it be Once Upon Time or Village of the Angels or Survivors of the Flux, people then say, oh, well, it started to fall apart from there, and I kind of knew it wasn't gonna reach the heights again. I mean, personally, Once Upon Time was my favourite episode of the series. I mean, yeah, basically, just, I will get to the point, that is that, I'm not of that opinion myself. I've reached the end of School Reunion. Yeah, even Survivors of the Flux, which is an episode which, it's an episode that I have a funny relationship with, I think. Like, I always thought it was a bit of a mismatch of different bits, and it is, to be fair. Like, you've got so many plots running in parallel at once, and it is really just, like, I don't feel like it amounts to anything. In that particular episode, it doesn't amount to anything more than that. It is just literally like, Grand Serpent doing his thing, Doctor and Taxion doing their thing, etc. Yaz and Dan and Jericho doing their thing. But actually, the more I think about it, the kinder I am to that story, the kinder I am. Because, yeah, sure, it's incredibly, like, more reliant than any other episode of Flux on what has gone before and what's going to come afterwards. But God, is there some good stuff in there? Like, there's also some more fillery stuff. Like, there's the stuff with Yaz and Dan and Jericho. It's sort of filler, really, just to get them from A to B. But then, even having said that, it's fun and it's funny. Like, the stuff with the Percipient, whatever he's called, the fortune tellery guy on the hill, the hermit, whatever you want to call him. It's funny, it's good. And that whole Indiana Jones vibe as well, it works. And particularly for kids, I think that would have been really exciting to watch. So I don't begrudge that at all, actually. Really. And it's got some fantastic stuff in the shape of the Tachyon and Doctor scenes in particular. I mean, that's some of my favourite stuff in the whole season, really. And obviously the Grand Serpent as well. All that stuff is brilliant. So yeah, Survivors of the Flux is definitely an episode that I'm kinder to as time goes on. I would personally say that the Vanquishers is where it does fall apart a bit. But even having said that, I don't know. I think it was just a case of expectations versus reality. Like, watching it back now and thinking back to it, much the same sort of attitude towards it like as what I had to Ranskov Kolos back in the day. Is that all of them already? No, hang on. I think I've messed up there. I've got much the same sort of attitude towards it, in the sense that, with both those finales, Ranskov Kolos and Vanquishers, it wasn't what I expected going into it, but I don't know. I feel like ultimately, like I said, appreciating them for what they are is the way forward, really. And yeah, sure, that they could have gone in different directions, particularly with the Vanquishers. Sure, it's overstuffed with characters and stuff. Like Kay Stewart does nothing, basically. She does a little bit of stuff, like talking about antimatter and stuff. That's quite cool. But yeah, I don't know. I do really like the final 10 minutes of that story. Like the whole thing with that shot of Liverpool again, the shoreline, docks, whatever you want to call it, the like panoramic shot of the waterfront. The waterfront, that's the word. Which brings us full circle back to the start of Halloween Apocalypse again, and the thing with Dan and Diane in the museum, and the way that all comes together, or rather doesn't come together, and then how he joins the TARDIS, and the whole thing with Yaz and the Doctor having their conversation at last, and then the whole thing after that with the Fob Watch, because that was the thing going into the Vanquishers. I was expecting them to do more with the Watch, basically, and it's not an unfair sort of thing to expect, because they had pretty much set that up. Like, we're gonna explore more of the Doctor's past in this story, and then they didn't. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm very behind with the chat. I just want to get a gist of what's going on here. What people are saying. We've got some chat about the 10th Doctor and Rose. Okay, that's something to talk about, obviously. More on topic than Flux with this. Yeah, 2 Million Like Head. Series 11 is really underrated, to be fair. It Takes You Away is an unsung masterpiece, honestly. Totally agree. Love It Takes You Away. Fantastic episode. Googleplex Flex. I actually found each episode of Flux to be unique and to have its own themes. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair. Some of them were more... it was all serialised, but at the same time, yeah, each episode did have its own flavour, and that was nice. Has a spam thing come back into the chat? That's not good. Report, I think. Let's report that. Bizarre. Wow, 2 Million Like Head's dad thought that Orsock would be River Song. That would indeed have been a mad twist. Yeah. So on to let's go a bit more on brand and talk about series 2 maybe. A good idea, given that we're going through images from series 2. We have now reached the Cybermen 2-parter. Fantastic shots here of what was at the time the brand new design. Obviously not so much anymore. These shots are absolutely iconic. Absolutely iconic, absolutely fantastic stuff. I might actually just see if I can pop out the chats, so I can see it better. That would probably be worth doing. Yeah. Okay, I'll try and keep up with that a bit more now. If you are enjoying this, please do make yourself known in the chats. Please do make yourself known. And yeah, it would be great to know that you're here, and please leave a like as well. It'd be fantastic. So these these are really great. Oliver Smith, I remember this promo. Everyone went mental at this in my school in 2006. Yeah. I mean, personally, I wasn't a fan back at this point, but I can imagine that it would have been amazing. But there's a weird thing with this episode, in that I don't think I've talked about this on the channel before, but I'm pretty sure that I watched... It must have been... I don't know if I watched both halves of the story. I definitely watched some of the Age of Steel. It might have been before I actually became a fan. I think. And it was at my cousin's house. They had it on in the background or whatever. And I remember sort of the scenes at the start of Age of Steel where the Cybermen are sort of marching about on the streets and stuff, and it's all dark and gloomy and wet and horrible. Yeah, I have memories of that from like an earlier point in my life than I should have. Yeah, I've never been able to put my finger on it, obviously. These scenes, these are the ones I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure at some point, possibly before I even became a fan, I caught a glimpse of this. I mean, it's weird with that. Like, again, I'm pretty sure I caught a glimpse. I mean, it's a hazy memory. Like, it's not really it's not really a memory. It's just like a sort of half memory. But like, I'm pretty sure I caught a glimpse of Last of the Time Lords before I became a fan. Because I remember seeing like the wood panelled. Oh no, Clark, get off the screen, man. Sorry about this. That's better, Jackie. Yeah, I have memories of seeing the wood panelled like walls of the Valiants, the interior. Don't know how I could have a memory of that. Like, I don't know if my parents were watching it or if it was on in the background, or I don't know. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure I caught some of a repeat broadcast of that, and I was in front of the screen when Voyage of the Damned was on because my dad wants me to watch it. But I wouldn't go as far as saying that I watched it or that I was watching it, because I seem to remember not being very interested. It's sacrilegious, I know, but there we go. Iconic shot of Tennant there, fantastic, with his face pressed up against the window. Googleplex Flex is expanding on their arguments in the chat about Flux being quite individual in terms of the episodes and flavours of the episodes and stuff, by sort of describing them each, which is great. It's great. Keep that going. Keep that coming. Yeah. Yeah, no, but there we go. In terms of Series 2 itself, it's not a favourite of mine, but there are certain things I do really admire about it. Like, for instance, on the subject of this story, the way that, like, pardon me, the Cyberman two-parter is like a tent pole for the whole series, like whack, slap bang in the middle. We've got spam again. Go away. Get lost. Damn, this is annoying. I thought I'd reported them already. Yeah, like with this two-parter, I do admire the way that they introduce the Cybermen here, then bring them back for the finale. I mean, obviously they're sort of making the most of the budget there, spreading out the budget for new Cyberman costumes again across 4 episodes. But yeah, it's a nice sort of mid-season story, this, and a nice way to sort of set all that stuff up for the finale, like, you know, with what's his name, like Jake coming back. I think it's called Jake, isn't he, that guy, the preacher guy, the whole parallel universe thing, and leaving Mickey there, you know, leaving him there at the end of this story to come back in the finale. It's just neat that the way that all that sort of stuff comes together. I find it's like one of those rare examples, I guess. And I suppose series 1 sort of has it as well, with the Daleks being in Dalek then in the finale as well. The sort of thing where you set stuff up in that episode that's going to come back in the finale, so yeah, that's my thoughts basically. In terms of the stuff with the Doctor and Rose, I can see where people liked it. It's not personally something I was massively behind, but I wouldn't go as far as saying I hate it or anything, because it's there. And it's something different, It's a more romantic approach to the Doctor companion relationship, which we hadn't really seen before explicitly. So, it's just cool to do something different, really. That's my perspective on it. And obviously, as well, you've got fantastic, things like Sarah Jane and K9 coming back. What else? You've got fantastic new monsters like the cat kind, the Krillitane, the werewolf. Clockwork droids, fantastic. And in Girl and Fireplace, more sort of romantic-y stuff that we hadn't seen in Doctor Who before. Sort of making the Doctor a romantic hero for the first time, which is really interesting. And then I guess as we sort of move on to the later episodes, I'll talk about them, because we are currently we're currently going through the promo pics from the Cybermen two-parter. There's quite a lot of them. I'm on to number 40 so far. But yes, if you have recently joined the stream, hello, great to have you here. I saw that Vilgax the Conqueror has joined. Hello Vilgax. Hello Alex Rooney as well. Timmy and Likehead, thoughts on the Crotons? That was directed to our lovely spam bots thing, whatever it was. I look forward to hearing their reply. Give me your thoughts on Series 2 in the chat, and if you were around, I suppose all of us watched it at some point, but if you watched it on broadcast or early on when you became a fan, give me your nostalgic memories of what that was like, and what you thought of it then, what you think of it now. I think there is sort of no denying the fact that I feel very much with Series 1 and 2, not so much with Series 3, maybe a little bit, but, particularly with Series 1 and 2, they set the tone for every other series that follows, and that has followed so far in Revived Doctor Who. They are sort of formative and foundational in the same way that, the whole of the Hartnell era was, or season 1 or whatever, of the classic era. And so in that respect, it's like you can't really say a bad word about them, to be honest, just because they are so formative, and it's the first time we've had the Daleks and the Cybermen in Revived Doctor Who. They just really do set the tone for what follows, like I say. And in terms of when the general public, it's such a washy term, that the general public, I don't like using it really, but in terms of when the sort of public awareness and love for Doctor Who was more of a thing. There's no denying that. David Tennant at the height of his powers and everything. But in that sense, it's Series 1 and 2 are, and Series 3 as well, to a certain extent, maybe Series 4 as well, but I guess those first 3 series, those are the ones that, if you ask someone my age, which seasons of Doctor Who they've watched or what they remember about Doctor Who, they will say that, it is sort of nostalgic for a whole generation, this era. So yeah, it's a long-winded way of basically saying that Series 1 and 2 are great and sort of untouchable. Well, no, of course you can't criticise them, but there's no denying, moving swiftly on, there is no denying that they played such a foundational role for what followed, even if yeah, even if, like Alex Rooney says just now, even if it's not your favourite series, you cannot deny that, really. But let's just see what the chat is saying and all this sort of stuff. Richard, what is your opinion on the Cyberman two-parter? It's the best modern Who Cyberman story, in my opinion. That's from Googleplex Flex. Okay, well, I think I've sort of answered some of that, but I'll try and go into a bit more detail, because I haven't really addressed the story itself. I just sort of discussed the wider shape of Series 2 and how it fits into that. So I'll park that thought, and we'll talk about that in a moment or two. J.W. Newell. Series 2 was my first season. Gotta say, Didit's Lantern is a comfort episode. Fair enough. Yeah, it's one that gets bashed, Didit's Lantern, from time to time, but I don't mind it. I think it's alright, It's got a nice, fun villain there in the shape of the Wire. Fantastic Cyberman image, sorry, just gotta say. That is really fantastic. Really, really fantastic, isn't it? There are some real treats here in terms of the Cyberman images. Like, there's one that's coming up. I didn't... This one here, there we go. I knew it was coming up. Not that soon, but... yeah, that is an image which I didn't see back in the day, to my knowledge. And then they used it... I think they used it for, like, the... image... let's double check. I think it's the image for Rise of the Cybermen on iPlayer. Yes, it is. It is. That was the first time I'd seen that image. I was like, wow, that is a cool image. Like a side profile of the Cybermen. Really cool, There's some fantastic stuff with them. I mean, again, Cybermen opinions. Let me know your opinions on Cybermen in the chat. Because for me, again, they were a part of my childhood, so I can't bash them. And to be honest, I wouldn't really want to. Okay, they're sort of a bit sort of clumsy at times. Particularly in that previous photo there, you can sort of see. I guess it's just the way the costumes sort of hang on the performers sometimes, and particularly later appearances, like in What a Nightmare in Silver, or what's it called? Essentially, the Cybermen, when they're in that. Yeah, it's not always the best. 'Cause at the end of the day, it is like a jumpsuit or whatever with molded parts connected on top, isn't it? It has to be a costume, which the thing with Cybermen, which always sort of lets them down to some sort of degree. At the end of the day, those bits that are meant to be the wires, the black bits underneath all the metal and stuff, they're meant to be wires, but at the end of the day, they are just like a jumpsuit or whatever, fabricy, basically, which isn't quite what... Well, Cybermen can be fabricy, I suppose. Like the Mondasian Cybermen, they are fabricy. They have fabric elements on them. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that image there, for instance, it sort of illustrates what I mean. That middle Cyberman there, is sort of sticking his chest out a bit and sort of looks a bit clumsy. But then that one on the left, that side profile right at the back on the left, that looks really cool. That sort of illustrates when these Cybermen work for me. I guess it really is just down to how the performers sort of hold themselves and how the costumes sort of stay on them. I know in the later appearances that I've just talked about, it is very much a case of the costumes being old and not really... they were designed back in 2006. They're not really suited to, modern production techniques. But yeah, they're of their time. They are cool at the end of the day. We've reached the end of that now. Let's just see what the chat is saying. Wow, Googleplex Flex says that Series 3 is their nostalgia season, but they remember seeing Love and Monsters ages ago and being really scared by it. Wow. I mean, we will get to Love and Monsters. We will get to it, don't you worry. Park that thought. 2 million like head. Series 2 isn't great. Oh, wow, I've lost the comment. Where's it gone? Damn it, I've lost the comment. Where's it gone? There it is. Love God in the Fireplace and the two-parter, and the finale is pretty fun, but besides that, it is meh. RTD cleaned up his act with his next two, though. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, we'll get onto the two-parter fairly shortly, and I'll perhaps give some hot takes at that episode, because I do think it's a bit overrated. Like, the Ood themselves are fantastic, great design. There's some fantastic design work in that story, like with the orange spacesuits and stuff. And yeah, okay, we'll get onto that in a moment, because we will be looking at images from that story in just a moment. But yeah, I don't like it quite as much as other people. I've just seen as well, Alex Rooney says that he's got a copy of the Spitfire BBC Symphony Orchestra library thing, and has been arranging the Doctor Who theme to it. Fantastic. That'd be great to hear that if you can drop us a link or whatever if it's finished. The first episode I remember watching was the Shakespeare Code in a Caravan. That's from J.W. Newell. Fantastic. I'm so behind with the chat. So behind. Doctor Masters started watching Doctor Who when they were 2 years old, apparently, watching a repeat of Smith and Jones on BBC Three. Wow. Crikey. Oh god, my chat is of late it is a mad thing, isn't it? I'm just looking through it. Okay, I don't want to make this boring for the rest of you, so let's move on to Idiot's Lantern. And while I'm doing Idiot's Lantern, I'll just address some other things from the chat. Oh damn, the bot thing is back. Damn it. Emily, hello. Great to have you with us. Just seeing you in the chat. And Hooven Espresso Extra as well. Spotted you in the chat. Great to have you with us too. So let's do some Idiot's Lantern ones. Obviously, we're just talking about this story in the chats, because yeah, some people are talking about it. I think, and it's a fun one. It's a bit of fun, you know. Yeah, Alex Rooney, Series 1 could have been a fluke for all we know, and the future of the show really depended on Series 2 doing well. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. I think for me, you know, as well, for me, like as someone who came to the show a bit later on with Series 4, like, again, you know, Series 1 and 2 had such like an almost like a mythical status already, you know, like they were already like I don't know, like before I was aware of Classic Who, it was like they were the earliest seasons of Doctor Who that you could watch, and that you needed to watch. Like they had that mythical status, you know, which just adds to that whole feeling. Like, you know, they are legendary. You can't deny that. I was reading some great nostalgic comments from Dr. Master in the chat. That's fantastic. Yeah, again, I'm very behind, but trying to catch up. Dave's licking the little wire camcorder thing there. Camcorder? Whatever it is. It's not camcorder. It's like a portable TV or whatever. Or something like that. Did they even exist back in that time? I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Yikes. This stream is really being hit by the spam tonight, isn't it? An interesting one, isn't it? An interesting one. But yeah, we move onwards. Yeah, where was I up to? I mean, I promised to talk about the Cyberman two-parter as well. And I think there was some chat. Yeah, I asked about the Cyberman, and I'm just reading some comments that people posted about those. Yeah, I agree with Alex there. Alex saying that he hopes that RTD takes the Cybermen back to their roots, a la World Enough and Time. That'd be really great. Yeah, like I've seen loads of people talking about how they want to see like the concept art that I think Matthew Savage did back for Series 2. There are some really great designs, sort of slightly close to what we ended up with Ashad in Series 12. But even with Ashad, like again, it was a case in point where like at the end of the day, it has to be a costume that someone wears and that someone can put on and take off and stuff. And so you do end up cutting corners and sort of not necessarily sort of going as far as you could do or as authentic as you could do. I mean, it was a great job nevertheless with Ashad, but those concept images from Matthew Savage, they might not be particularly practical as costumes, but they sure look cool. They really, really do. Wow, Dr. Master. Love and Monsters remains my genuine favourite Doctor Who story of all time. Has so many fond memories for me. And Emily as well, yes. But Emily was terrified of the Absorbloff. Wow. It took you years to be able to watch that story. That's amazing. Mad respect to you for that. That is bonkers. I mean, it is a sort of disturbing one, to be fair, you know. It is a sort of disturbing one. Like the whole thing with Alton and like losing his mum and just the whole vibe of it. It's a bit more sort of it's a bit more unforgiving than your average Doctor Who stories, like in terms of the, I don't know, like it's not as sugar-coated, like it's quite harsh and in terms of, you know, in terms of how it sort of treats life and the reality of life and the things that happen to the characters. But yeah, I am now up to date with the chat, which is great. Now up to date. Doc's Master, are you going to sniff the TARDIS bubble bath in the stream? Well. You know, we will see. We will see about that. But you might even be able to see it. It is literally up on that shelf up there. I don't know if you can see. You probably can't. It's up there. It's up there. It's up there. So we are now on to the YouTube part, of course. Yeah, so we're going to do some discussion about this. Yeah, the YouTube part. I should probably revisit it, actually, to be fair. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad or anything, but like I think it is overhyped. I mean, to be fair, you know, like I've said, hang on, I've been putting the Idiot's Lantern promo pics into my Rise of the Cybermen folder, which is not where they should go. Just a minute. Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, you can't deny, again, there is some fantastic like production design in this. Like all the stuff with Sanctuary Base 6, this sort of yellow and the grungy corridors and things. It works so well. The costume, like, you know, Rose's pink jackety thing there, and even Tennant with his sort of more subdued brown shirt. That's always quite a striking one. Looking back, striking costume variation, and yeah, like the Ood as well. Obviously, are fantastic. They are such a sort of like, such a, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, inspired choice for a monster design, I suppose, because like, and they're sort of the perfect Doctor Who monster in many ways, because they had the prosthetic head, and the prosthetic hands, and your little sphere thing, but the rest of it is literally just like your grey jacket and your grey trousers. So like on the one hand you've got these really elaborate prosthetics for the face, and then you've just got the most plain, like not beige but like grey grey costume underneath it. Clearly, as a cost-cutting thing, really, so you don't have to show any more of the Ood skin or Ood body underneath, which sounds weird, but there we go. Yeah, and so I think on the one hand, yeah, they look great. On the other hand, they are just a really, like, from behind the scenes perspective, they are a really inspired design as well. Some mad respect to the Ood, yeah, love them, absolutely love them. I mean, just need I say more? They are fantastic. They are such an iconic monster, so iconic. Just amazing. Just look at that. It's so cool. It's so cool. I was so glad to see an Ood back in Flux. Like when the trailer for Flux came out and there was an Ood, I was like, yeah, amazing. We love to see it. And yeah, like, I wouldn't say no to seeing them again. Like, I guess they have sort of exhausted the whole idea of them being slaves, and like we've had that story with Planet of the Ood. We've had this story as well of them sort of being like the manservants of the beast. But yeah, I mean, I will never say no to seeing the Ood again. Like, they're just such a perfect, timeless monster. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, it's not one of those monsters that, like, you can imagine them redesigning in years to come. It's one of those monsters which you can imagine them not ever having to redesign. Because it's just so great, this spam thing. It is a new experience for me having someone actually spamming the chat, with actual spam. But hey, it's it's what happens, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, do let me know your thoughts on this story. In the chat. I mean, to be fair, the more I think about it, it is a pretty decent story. I just don't think it's like a standout classic. But I should have mentioned as well, I was going to talk about the Cybermen two-parter in more detail, wasn't I? For Googleplex Flex. So, iconic, that shot. That's so iconic, isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah, Cybermen two-parter. I mean, like I say, I really respect it for how it sort of ties things together, sets the scene for the finale of Series 2. I think that's really great. And as a story itself, I mean, yes, it's got some great stuff in it, let's be honest, with how they brought the Cybermen back, having the whole thing with the little earbud things, having, your conversion factories and stuff. It's amazing. So yeah, I would say, yeah, it is a pretty decent Cyberman story. And again, going back to that whole idea of Series 1 and 2 being sort of formative Doctor Who seasons, like, just look at that, fantastic. But yeah, like, that is, the first Cyberman story of the revival. It is almost a Genesis story for them. Well, it basically is. It's like a Genesis story for a different breed of Cybermen, like literally on a parallel universe, a universe other than our own. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Really, yeah. The more I think about it, I mean, it's a really decent story. And to be fair, both these two parts are pretty decent. I'll give that to you. They're both pretty good. Dilgax the Conqueror, what are your thoughts on a Doctor Who game which has a Cyberman level and the boss battle at the end being the Cyber King? Wow, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'd never say no to more Doctor Who games. Yeah, that would be really cool, like going through all the different Cyberman hierarchies, you battle of the Cyber Controller as well, Cyber Leader, Cyber Mats, whatever, that'd be really cool. Great idea, yeah. We've got some chat as well, some discussion about the Ood mask looking a bit weird in Flux. Yeah, I saw some people sort of talking about this. I think, if I've got this right, Millennium Effects is not working on the show anymore. And so, to put it simply, that's probably why it looked a bit different. Like, it's now a new company, isn't it? Working on the prosthetics and stuff. In fact, the woman who's in charge of the company, they interviewed her recently in Doctor Who magazine, I think, or in the yearbook or something. So yeah, it's different people working on them, which is probably why that is. It's not something that I noticed myself massively, but yeah, I guess when you think about it, they do look a bit different to this. The skin wasn't perhaps as detailed or the same texture or whatever, I've lost the chat. Where's it gone? There it is. But yeah, the Ood, they are fantastic. And like I say, I will never say no to seeing them again. They're so cool. Such a great Doctor Who monster design. But yeah, if you are still here and you haven't left a like yet, please do so. I would really appreciate that. And also make yourself known in the chat. Whether you're, I don't know, whether you're watching this avidly, or whether you've got it on in the background and you're doing something else, or just whatever, really. Just it'd be great to know you're here and yeah, give me your thoughts on all this stuff. Yeah, that's the end of that one now. So we are now on to Love and Monsters. At long last. At long last, we're here. Oh boy. Here we go. Are you ready? Victor Kennedy. So, Love and Monsters. Okay. I mean, yeah. I don't know where to begin with this. Obviously, I need to address Love and Monsters as a story. I mean, yeah, like, it's fine. Like, well, yeah, like, I mean, it's sort of, it's not a absolute classic. Like, it's not like in the same way that Genesis of the Daleks is an absolute classic. But at the same time, it does something different with the rules of Doctor Who. Like, it's a very, very different, very, very different type of story. A commentary on the fans and our relationship with the show, and the positives and negatives of that as well, of fandom. And of course, as well, it has this boy in it, the Absorbaloff, who is just great. Like, unironically, he's great. With his little black pants. Oh boy, it is. it is an experience, this episode. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, it is a really dark episode when you think about it. It's a really dark episode. Yeah, I mean, it's got some cool set design as well. This set of Victor Kennedy's office, I do really like that. Really cool. And just, yeah, it's very creepy vibes to this one. And with Ursula's fate, with what happens to Elton's mum, obviously in the past, but what we find out about that. It's just... It's such a weird one. But again, like, you know, I'm not going to bash it. Like, I don't want to bash it. It's great. Like, it's not like conventionally great, but at the same time, it is great. You know, it is great. Yeah. Like, I feel like all this, like, there was a time when it was quite a popular opinion to say that Love and Monsters is like the worst episode ever. And then there was a time, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, where it's quite popular to say, actually, it's really good. Well, not really good, but like it's you know, there is something here which it's got to say. There's a commentary here, you know. So it became quite popular to sort of turn that on its head and actually sort of like this story. I don't know where they're up to with it now, though. I don't know, like I think we are past that point of sort of people saying it's the worst thing ever. But equally, I sort of feel like it's not talked about as much anymore. I don't know. I do love it. I do love it. I have to say. There's so much that's effective about it. Like the whole format of it, the whole structure of it, with Elton doing his little recordings and stuff, and the whole thing as well, like with the music, like, you know, with Mr. Blue Sky, so effective that in there, and the episode score itself actually as well from Murray Gold. It's one of his best ones, really. I'd say. Doctor Master, it's better than The Waters of Mars. Hot take. I'm not going to comment on that, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's David Tennant, I love it. The Hoiks. I feel like I'm meandering lots here. I don't know what to say about it. It is really... It's a weird one, but it is also... It's a very interesting one. But hey, what do you think of Love and Monsters? Let me know in the chat, because I'd be interested to know, like, if there are still people out there that genuinely think this is the worst thing ever, you know, because I think we are past that point now. You know, I think once upon a time, like when the episode came out in fan circles, then yeah, you know, sure, that would have been the opinion, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like it sort of had its renaissance sort of 5 years ago or whatever, and then now, or more than 5, probably like, I don't know, a decade or I don't know. Whereas these days, I'm not quite sure what people think of it, really. I feel like it has been analysed quite a bit, maybe over-analysed, like the whole thing about fan commentary, the Absorbaloff being in Levine, all that sort of stuff. Like, everyone's very familiar with that argument now, the argument for why it's good, actually, you know. To the point where now I'm not quite sure what the consensus is. But, you know, personally speaking, you know, as a child, you know, like other people in the chat who have been talking about this, yeah, it made an impact on me, you know. It was dark, it was weird. Like, I guess, yeah, that was my, like, you know, when I watched it for the first time, my first thought wasn't, oh, it's so ridiculous, it's so, you know, it's the worst thing ever. I was, like, intrigued by it, you know. And just the whole vibe of it. And yeah, like, going back to that idea, it is very unnerving, really. Like, for all the ridiculous stuff in there with the Absorbaloff, like the actual look of the Absorbaloff, and like tongue-in-cheekness of that, it is quite a dark story. Like, all these people die, you know, all these like Bridget and Mr. Skinner and Bliss, they all die, and Ursula, in a manner of speaking. It's dark. It's dark. Yeah, I suppose obviously the Absorbaloff had to be slightly ridiculous to sort of offset that darkness. But yeah, I feel like if they had taken a sort of even more adult approach to this, like if for instance the Absorbaloff had been a less ridiculous monster, a less ridiculous looking monster, and it was all taken a bit more seriously, like it was an actual gritty drama or something, you know, then it probably would be hailed as a classic, you know. And if you didn't have things like we've even got a bit of a love life and all that sort of stuff, which is so clearly, you know, tongue-in-cheek. But actually, at the heart of that, when you look past all that stuff, at the heart of this story, it's grim and dark and challenging and unnerving and yeah. I love that there. We've got the actress who played Bridget just there in the background smiling. So what's she doing there? She wasn't in this scene, was she? Not when Victor Kennedy took all his clothes off, so to speak. I've just noticed that as well, like how the Absorbaloff sort of has like warts on his chest. Never noticed that before. It is a really sort of like it is an appealing design, I have to say. Like, obviously it's not appealing, like it's sort of ugly and ridiculous and mad, but then like it is sort of I feel like it is quite well done in a sense. Like the whole like lines of skin and stuff, and the little like droplet shaped bits around his mouth and around his head, and the pointy ears. It is quite disgusting and grim. Like, you know, it is ridiculous, but it's also quite horrible. And also quite stereotypically like what you expect a monster to be as well. Like it's big and green and horrible. It's such a weird one, isn't it? Like, it's so weird that this got made. But I'm so glad it did. I'm glad it did. And I almost want them to tackle this type of story again. You know, that's what I really like. If we could have not like a sequel to Love and Monsters, but like if they could do a story in this vein again, a story that takes a step back and looks at the relationship between, you know, Doctor Who and its fans, or not even Doctor Who itself, but like an analogy for that again, you know, like just that whole idea of fandom. I feel like you could get some quite good commentary in there about, I don't know, like I guess what this episode does really well is the idea that like it's not about the people, it's not about the fans themselves and putting themselves on pedestals or sort of, I don't know, like having things their way, you know, asserting that their opinions are correct and no one else is right, and taking charge, you know, when that all comes into fandom or into, you know, just into the equation. Oh damn, I've reached the end. Yeah, well, when that all comes into that's when everything goes pear-shaped. And I think, you know, in this age of social media and stuff, you know, because obviously we still got stuff happening, like Doctor Who fandom, like so-called Doctor Who Twitter, for example, you know, yeah, there are fans on Twitter that cause chaos on the daily, and like, yeah, it's just, I feel like someone, maybe RTD will do it again, maybe in series 14 we will get another Love and Monsters type story, but I feel like there is the opportunity to do that, you know, in this age of social media and social media fandom, to do something in this vein again, something that's really challenging and really, really different, and just really interrogates that idea of what fandom is, and what it should be and what it shouldn't be. Massive ramble there. We are now on to Fear Her, which, we'll talk about Fear Her in a minute. Just to go through some of the chat very briefly, just looking back through your messages. Vilgax thought that the episode was dark, and this is what inspired their style of writing. Dark, gritty sci-fi drama. Well, good for you. I mean, I'm hard-pressed to disagree with you there, to be honest. Oh, James, yeah, she's put off camera there, saying her lines out loud for when she speaks in the scene. Yes, about Bridget. Fair enough. Yes, it's a really great design. You look at it and you can see it's somewhat similar to the Slovene. Yes, exactly. Hashtag Roger Simpson Zorbloff. I love it. Who in Espresso Extra is not ashamed to say that they would not, that they would love to see the Absorbloff come back, but taken seriously. Oh, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I want to hug him, says Dr. Master. Yeah, that's interesting, Alex. Yeah, Alex is saying that because the episode count these days is so reduced, and seasons like, you know, Flux, for example, are so condensed down to, you know, the bare bones, not bare bones, but like, you know, we don't have this similar thing these days anymore, do we? Like you say, of this kind of story, like Doctor Light episodes, bottle episodes. We don't get that so much, which is a shame. And yeah, maybe because of that, we're not going to get an episode like that again. But I hope we do. I hope they can find some ways to do it. Dr. Master says, what do you think his name was? Or the species name for the Absorbloff? I don't know. You think it's Glenn? You think it's Glenn? I don't know. Probably like, I don't know, they're cousins of the Slovene, aren't they? So like, I don't know. And the Slovene themselves are like Rex Choreograph I guess like the equivalent of that would be like Clomians. Clomian. There we go. Clomian. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that's the thing as well. I'm just slightly touched with the what's going on with the chat there. That's quite interesting. Close-ups of the drawings from Fear. I might do a tweet with that image actually, just to sort of, you know, it's weird as well. Actually, you got photos of the kids. That's quite creepy. What's that about there? Why are there photos of? Oh, are they like her friends? Maybe Chloe's friends. I don't know. But yeah, no, yeah, because people are sort of talking about like who am I talking about now when I mention Twitter and stuff, and like, yeah, sure, like as someone said, well, yeah, like everybody has their own sort of ideas about that. I guess that would be the only downside about doing a story like that, depending how far they're on with it. I mean, you know, back in the day, I mean, it's fairly common knowledge now, like we said, that that the Absorbloff was a whole parody of Ian Levine. And it's like, I guess, you know, if that story was done again now, who would we be parodying? Like Philip Morris or someone? I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's the only downside about doing a story about Doctor Who fandom, is then if like the fans in question take you to court and go, no, you that character, that alien was based on me. Then they'd have to keep it very vague in terms of the details and stuff. But I don't think it would have been an impossible thing to do. I just think that would be really good actually for Doctor Who fandom, just to really sort of have a story which actually addresses them on screen again, and sort of makes them look at themselves and think, hang on a minute, you know, what are we up to here, you know? Have we lost sight of certain things? I don't know. I just said that would be so interesting to do that again. Parody the woman who wants to fund the BBC. I'm sure that's going to happen, to be honest. Absolutely sure. Yeah, Alex is thinking that Series 14 is going to be 10 episodes at the very most. So between 8 and 10, possibly 11 if we get a festive special. Yeah, I saw a rumour it was going to be 8 episodes. But then again, that was from a page that, like, on Facebook that is notorious for just making stuff up. I mean, that is one example. Damn it, they're back. Apologies about this. Yeah, that is one example, like that Facebook page that just posts a load of stuff as if it's true. It's like, yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I feel like yeah, that is the sort of thing I'm talking about here when I talk about that. I was looking at the chat. Cool. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, imagine if there was an episode that sort of dealt with that whole idea of rumours and like Reddit leaks and rumours and stuff and all that sort of stuff being treated as fact. Imagine if an episode could like get to the heart of that. That would be cool. You know, like if they could address the whole David Tennant is the 14th Doctor rumour head on. Like through some sort of metaphor for that, and yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that'd be a cool thing to do. But anyway, I've talked enough about yeah, exactly, Alex, exactly. Oh yeah, there is that side to them as well. They are hilarious in one sense, but like sometimes as well they are sort of not dangerous because no one's life is at stake, but it's just like, you know, really, are you really going to go and spread misinformation? Like, people are going to see that and think it's true, you know. Hang on, oh no, I've made a mistake there. Oops, apologies. I've got another type of spam in the chat. Vom.red. Okay. It is bizarre spam. I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? That's something you could do. Do a Doctor episode about people that spam YouTube live stream chats. Do an episode about that. Right, we're now to the finale of Series 2. The finale. Oh, let's go into it again. Which we already talked about a bit, but I'm sure we can talk about it again because there's loads of interesting stuff in here. Obviously Daleks and Cybermen, and like basically every character from the Cyberman two-parter back for more, like Jake and you know, yeah, it's an really interesting one. So lovely images here of Dalek Sec. I was looking at these again earlier today, just before I did the stream, and yeah, they're just fantastic images. Like this photo shoot here, really great. Hello, Jack. Can we make a media? Great to have you with us. No problem for being late. No, people just dip in and out of these live streams when they can. That's life, you know. I don't expect everybody to watch it from start to end and everything. That's a weird image, like with 4 Dalek Secs. Like, what's going on there? It's a bizarre one. But hey, it's interesting. A whole army of Dalek Sec. We've got 20 odd people still watching, I think, which is pretty cool. If you are enjoying this, then please do leave a like if you haven't already. That'd be really great. And just to reiterate, if anyone feels able, well, obviously subscribe as well if you haven't already. If anyone feels able to support me on Patreon, the link's in the description, or to do a super chat in the chat on this stream or anything like that, obviously that will earn you a special shout out if you do anything like that. Like we haven't had a super chat on any of these streams before, so that'd be a really cool thing to have. But obviously, maybe that's just the curse to never get a super chat. Maybe it'll never happen. I don't know. I'd love to take my word on that. But yeah. So I mean, this episode, my gosh, this story, so many iconic elements. Daleks, Kalskaro, Cybermen, the 3D glasses, the void ship. It's Doomsday, the whole Doomsday thing on the beach, the whole track Doomsday, which actually we were talking about in last week's stream. I remember that now. It is an iconic one. Like particularly, I always think with this episode, like the set design for this like underground bunkery bits, with those sort of like gold bricks in the background. I always think they're really iconic and they really pop and they're really cool. That's what I think of when I think of this episode. And obviously these tortured officers as well, with Freema Agyeman before she became Martha Jones. Obviously Yvonne Hartman, who's gone on to do bigger things with what do you call it? Big Finish. That's the one. Dr. Master is unable to turn on notifications for me. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure what the problem would be, but it's interesting. But yeah, if anyone wants to turn on notifications, then for this channel, then obviously that's great because you are notified when I go live and when I upload stuff. I assume. Like obviously, I don't know what it's like to have notifications on for my channel because I'm on the other side of that. But yeah, I'm assuming that's how that works. Cracky Moses. Fun fact from Emily: in one of the London Torchwood Big Finish box sets, one of the Torchwood one, what are they called? Are they called Torchwood one? Those box sets? I think they are. Barbara Flynn, obviously Tak Tae-eun, played Yvonne Hartman's mum. Wow, I feel like this deserves a little Google to see what this is all about. I mean, I knew she'd done stuff for Big Finish, Barbara Flynn. She seems to have quite a few credits. Like she's even in that most recent box set, like this box set, Big Finish, the 40 box set. She's in that. Like it's mad, and that was like released just this month. Like obviously a month or so, or a month or two after she appeared on TV, which is quite cool. Let's take a look, see if it's on here. Oh yeah, there, sure. Torchwood 1, she played Anne Hartman. Well, I never. Crikey. That's mad. So yeah, obviously she played Tak Tae-eun. It's weird looking at this page now, like with her image on the thing for Tak Tae-eun, because obviously for so long it was Cillian Baxter, I believe, is who played Tak Tae-eun in The Timeless Children. mad, isn't it? Oh, actually, I see. This is just for the Orsock incarnation. Still don't know what all that was about. Orsock. Like, I get why they gave her the name Orsock behind the scenes, so it didn't leak. But was there like a story in universe reason why she had that name? Like specifically that name? Not quite sure. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's the original text name, of course. Yes, she played Professor Vansom in the Fifth Doctor 40 box set recently. Yeah, then Sister Chalice / Croc Trooper in the Skull of Sobek. All right, so one of the early 8th Doctor Lucy Miller. I can't speak. Miller audios, Lucy Miller, and then Anne Hartman in this Torchwood thing, a civil servant. Wow. Thank you. Oh, for goodness sake. Thank you for that, Emily. That's fantastic to learn something new there. It's amazing. It's like a whole page about her. That's wow. Yes, I've listened to some of the Torchwood 1 box sets, but not that particular one. In fact, oh, it's that one. Okay, because there are a few, and there's one with with the like new versions of the War Machine, didn't they? I think that's what this was, wasn't it? I think weren't these meant to be like new versions of the War Machine? Yeah, Wotan. That's right. And then the first set was just like spoilers if you haven't listened to it, but like it was basically like a storyline with Yvonne Hartman and Janta Jones and like another character, a new character who turns out to be evil in the final story. Yeah, wow. Well, there we go. Amazing. Little tangent, but there we go. That's a great shot of Tennant. I love that one with his Sonic, and there are some coming up, I believe, which have the iconic 3D glasses in them as well, coming up shortly. I always thought that these transportery thingies looked a bit cheap. I mean, they serve their purpose. They only appear for like 5 seconds, so you can't really blame them. But like, there's a moment, isn't there, where like Rose, she gets trapped on the other side, and I think she like bashes one to like try and get it to work again, and like you can sort of tell that it's not a particularly substantial prop. The 3D glasses. The 3D glasses. Does Yanto get resurrected in the Torchwood Big Finish? Not to my knowledge. I think all the stuff with Yanto is set before his spoilers, his death. Pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. Iconic, isn't it, that one? Iconic. How long have we been going for now? We've been going for hour and a half, have we? Yeah, hour and a half. Odd. Hooven Espresso Extra. I always thought they made from custard for some reason. Well. Amazing. The transportery things, I assume you mean there. The Cult of Skaro. Amazing. Love it. Moving swiftly on. I'm listening as well. I just got a new Instagram follower. So let's do a little plug for my social medias as well. if you don't follow me on Twitter and or Instagram, and you would like to, all you need to do is either follow the links in the description or type Stetson Doctor into Twitter or Instagram. That's my @ and on Instagram I do photos of like new additions to the collection. Basically, that's what I do now on there. More active on there than I used to be. And then on Twitter it's just like, you know, whatever I want really. Updates on videos and on the channel and stuff occasionally, you know, and occasionally, you know, like I might do a tweet and then that tweet sort of grows into its own video and takes on a life of its own. So yeah, please go and check that out if they float your boat. That would be fantastic. So we've reached the end of series 2 now. Wow. Now I am wondering, and we're going to go on for a bit longer, aren't we? I mean, hour and a half so far. I'm wondering whether to move on to series 3 or to maybe take a detour for the spin-offs, maybe Sarah Jane Adventures, maybe Tortured as well, because as you can see they are all here as well. In fact, yeah, I think that might be quite a nice thing to do. I think first I'll do Runaway Bride, and then after that I'll maybe look at some spin-off stuff, because that's always good to do. Sarah Jane Adventures. I'll make a folder for this. Right, so yeah, let's work on my folder as I think in series 2. Yeah, Project, you can't see any of this, but I am just basically, I have been copying all these photos across into a folder this whole time in the background, unbeknownst to anybody, but there we go. Yeah, Runaway Bride. Oh, thank you, Hooven Espresso Extra, for saying my Insta photos look professional. That's always the aim, you know. Like, yeah, it's always the aim. You just try your best and see how they come out, really. But yeah, I feel like that's the thing with Instagram that I want to do. Like, you know, have it as high quality as possible and just sort of yeah, take photos of because the figures and stuff, you know, the stuff that I grew up with seeing online and stuff. So it's just a way to sort of yeah, relive that, really, I suppose. We love stories. It's not We Love Stories anymore. It's For the Love of Stories, I believe, which again it still contains the word love, but I suppose. But yeah. So yeah, Runaway Bride. It's Christmas again. We've got a month back in time here. Deja vu. Yeah, Christmas. Runaway Bride. I want to hear your thoughts on Runaway Bride in the chat. I mean, personally speaking, this is a story that I think in the past I've perhaps unfairly bashed a bit, you know? And like, sure, it's very sort of panto and exaggerated, and it's not really one to take very seriously. Like the whole thing with Lance portraying Donna. Like, on the one hand, if that was done in a gritty drama, it would be very, you know, very like. I mean, it sort of is upsetting, but like also like when she realizes that he's been betraying her, but also you sort of can't really take it too seriously. Because, you know, you've got the big Rachnos there and a big outfit, Sarah Parish and a big web star and all this mad stuff going on and riding around on segways and stuff. And it's just, it's bonkers, you know. So, so yeah, I think it is a story that you have to go into with that mindset. You know, you're not expecting a Genesis of the Daleks, say, or a Midnight or whatever. You know, it's a different type of story. But so long as you go into it not expecting or wanting it to be anything different, then yeah, it's perfectly fun. Like, I know for a lot of people this is a very nostalgic one, and there are iconic scenes like, you know, the whole thing with the TARDIS chase on the motorway or whatever. Yeah, Alex Rooney watched the Runaway Bride of the week, and it's stupid but so much fun. I mean, exactly, you know, it is a really fun story. So yeah, basically, I've come around to this one. You know, I was of the mind, I suppose, once upon a time. I still don't know whether I'd rank it highly with the other Christmas specials. To be honest, I'm not quite sure where it would sit in that ranking. I know back in the day it was always sort of fairly low. Whether or not that would now be higher, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that more carefully. But yeah, it's a fun story. You know, it's fun. It's got Donna in it. Even Espresso Extra would personally rank Runaway Bride over or above Genesis of the Daleks. Wow. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, to be honest. All opinions are valid here. All opinions. Crikey, that's a good shot, isn't it? I haven't seen that one before. That's a really good shot, actually. I might use that in a thumbnail for something one day, because it's very clean, isn't it? You have your nice contrast there with the white background with the TARDIS and Tennant there. That's a really nice image there. I think I'm going to have a snack. That's a good one as well of Tennant there. That's a good image of him. Good image, yeah. And good for thumbnails and stuff because of the well, it's good that it's got a white background because it's easy to sort of separate him from the background for Photoshop and stuff. But yes, as Human Espresso Extra says, of course, remembering that climate change is a thing. Yeah, oh my god, you can see all the pollution, damn. Absolutely. Yeah, yikes. Where are we? 1 to 28. Oh, I'm eating some chocolate, some Galaxy. Whose books? Hello. I think I recognise you from Twitter. It's Thomas, I believe, isn't it? Hi, nice to have you with us. It's mad actually with this as well, like how close it is to St. Paul's. I'd never actually realised it was that close to St. Paul's, this location. Obviously, like a great location, with the London skyline stuff. And I believe didn't they film this before it had been announced that Catherine Tate was cast? I think I'm remembering that right. This was filmed just before Doomsday went out, I think, or in the week leading up to that, and then obviously after Doomsday it was revealed. But yeah, no, I'm just getting my bearings now because I had not realised it was so close to St. Paul's there. Yeah, I always think as well when I watch this scene, like, it's a bit of a, well, not like a it's not a hazard really, I guess. Well, it isn't. Like, having them, like, two pretty famous actors on the roof of a building Like, what if they fell off? You know, well, I'm sure they wouldn't do. I'm sure it was all very safe. But yeah, you do feel that when you watch this. Like, they are quite close to the edge there. Yeah. I saw, in the chat, chocolate in some Siren voice. Absolutely. I see we've got some requests in the chat to do some classic Who promo pics. Some 80s ones. Well, Sherlock. Yeah. I don't know if that's something we're going to do. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just for you. We could do a little bit of that. We could do a little bit of that. But not immediately, because we're doing Runaway Bride now. Then we're going to go on to the Sarah Jane Adventures, I think. Series 1. Do a bit of that. And just depending really on how we go. I'm not sure how long the stream will be. Probably like 2 hours, maybe a bit longer. We've been going for like 1 hour 50, haven't we? Yeah. So we'll just see how we go. But certainly in the future, that's something we can do, like a classic Who based stream. Right, okay, JM. Yes. So JM says that literally the only reason this was shot on a rooftop was to keep Catherine Tate a secret. Yeah, that corroborates what I was just saying there. Alex, I really want the actual corner shop from the Vanquishers to be in Liverpool, but it almost certainly isn't. Yeah, it's not. I would bet money on it not being in Liverpool, which is, yeah, it's a shame, but there we go. It could have become a tourist attraction. I suppose it still could. Like the corner shop from the Vanquishers. That would be a good thing to do on a stream. Maybe we'll do that in a bit. To go on Google Maps or something and find the corner shop from the Vanquishers. That would be cool. Because to my knowledge, it's not been like said anywhere online where it is. But I saw as well, Whobook says that he's been to a few Doctor locations in London, including the Web of Fear location, not where the Yetis come up onto the surface. Very, very cool. In fact, I think, because I watched Web of Fear for the first time last year, and when I was reading up on that, obviously it's filmed in Covent Garden. I've been to Covent Garden myself a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure, like looking at the map where it is, it's quite close to Forbidden Planet, I believe, in Covent Garden, where that is now. I'm pretty sure I must have walked past the street where they filmed that bit with the Yetis. I must have done. And just not known, not realised. So there we go. Oh, heck. The spam bot is back. Apologies for this. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, so this scene here obviously was shot, pardon me. This was shot after Doomsday had aired, after Catherine Tate had been announced. That's a great image there of the robot Santas. But yeah, sort of because of that, I remember reading that literally the whole world and their mother were out to see this bit being filmed in Cardiff, in the streets of Cardiff. Yeah. And obviously it was the height of summer. It was like July the, 10th or something, whatever. Yeah, so it's just a word as well, look, about the chat. Obviously, we've had this rather annoying spam bot. But just this goes for everybody, anybody watching. If you put stuff in the chat that's not appropriate or whatever, I'm just gonna remove it. Okay, so don't put stuff in there that's not family friendly, please. Don't do that. Yeah, we're keeping this PG. We are past the watershed, but we're keeping it PG. Alex, I'm just I'm doing both, to be honest. It doesn't seem to be work. Well, it seems to work for the time being, and then they come back again. But I don't know. I've tried blocking the user from the channel, tried putting them in timeout, tried all that sort of stuff. It's annoying, but yeah, I don't know how they found it really. But anyway. Yes, now we have got some discussion in the chat, and this perhaps warrants a little look on Google, because I'm not sure where they're up to with this actually. But Alex and Whose Books are talking about the Doctor Who exhibition, which is set to land in Liverpool in like May, I think, or the summer or whatever. Yeah, got a few people in the chat that are hoping to go. I'm certainly hoping to go, probably with Miles or whatever. But yeah, that sounds really cool, because it's like a Doctor exhibition again, and they're going to have loads of props there. I thought it's going to be sciencey based, like educationally based. So there's going to be that side to it as well. But I think they are going to try and shoehorn in as many props from the show as they can, which is really cool. And they've already got a TARDIS at the location, I believe. They've got a TARDIS there already to sort of advertise it. But yeah, once we've reached the end of this, we will just take a look at. I'm curious myself to see if there's any more information about that exhibition yet. It's called the what's it called? The World of Wonders or something like that, I think. Thank you, Whose Books. That's the 27th of May opens, and it runs until the 31st of October. Oh yeah, because it's meant to be touring the UK, I think, isn't it? Like, it's in Liverpool to start with. And then it's meant to be touring the UK. And yes, Alex says there, it's not in the Museum of Liverpool, quite right. Yeah, that's the one that appeared in Doctor Who. It's in the World Museum in Liverpool, which I believe is a stone's throw from St George's Hall, which featured very briefly in The Vanquishers. Not The Vanquishers. Well, it did feature in The Vanquishers, actually, but also in the Survivors of the Flux. When Yaz and Dan and Jericho are looking for Joseph Williamson. Here we go. Yeah, here we go with that first scene again. One of the first ones that they shot with the London skyline. Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? Really interesting to look at that. Someone else in the chat, Alfie, is it? Alfie Scott. Are you interested in custom Doctor Who figures? Yeah, I certainly am. Anything Doctor Who figure related. I certainly am. Right, that's the end of that now. So, let's look this up. Doctor Who exhibition in Liverpool. Worlds of Wonder. Yeah, here we go. So this is it. Not a whole lot of information about it yet, but yeah, it opens in 16 weeks apparently. This world premiere exhibition will see visitors engage with original artifacts, sets, and much more. So sets, so they're going to re-erect parts of actual sets, presumably, which is cool. Costs £14 if you book in advance. Okay, so it pays to book in advance. And yeah, you can actually book tickets for it already, I think. Not that I'm going to. Let's see if I can spot Rich in one of these images. Let's Google Flex. Which images do you mean? Do you mean the filming pictures from Runaway Bride? Because I was not there. Okay, it's just not going to load. Okay, it's worked. Relaxed viewings, crikey. Also, I guess it literally is a thing, because like, it's part of a bigger museum, isn't it? The World Museum, I believe it's free to enter. I think I have been there, actually. So you have to pay to get into the Doctor Who bit, and you have to book in advance. And it must be like, yeah, like an actual thing where it's like a timed thing, where they only let a certain number of people in at certain points of the day and stuff. So you can select a date and time. So say I was going to go on the first day. Right, yeah, so you can sort of enter every 15 minutes, basically. That's cool. I am intrigued by this, but I'm sort of waiting for more information about it, really. Oh yeah, there's some cool people in the chat talking about how cool it would be if they had the 13th Doctor's TARDIS interior as part of the exhibition. That would be cool. I know they have sort of dismantled it, and they have sort of redistributed parts of it off to various people. Like Jamie Magnus Stone, for instance, I think, has one of the hexagons in his house, like in his study or whatever. But yeah, certainly the console, and certainly some of the bits. That would be really cool. So let's turn our attention to the Sarah Jane Adventures. If I can just find the right folder for this. There it is. Yeah, so we'll do series 1 of the Sarah Jane Adventures. We might as well. And then probably wind up after that. We've still got 15 people watching. Please do leave a like if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please support me on Patreon if you are able to and want to. And yeah. So, Sarah Jane Adventures, let's go. Right, so a cool image of the logo there to start us off. Oh, hang on, they've got different URL. Oh, hang on. They have different URLs, so it's going to make it difficult for me to... oh, no. Catherine. I'm going to do this in a different way, maybe, I don't know. Oh, I see. There's right, I've got the hang of it now. Oh, no? No, I haven't. Okay. I think the URLs are a bit different for these. Just bear with me while I work it out. Maybe once we get onto the actual promo pics, it'll be okay. And we can just flick through them. Yeah, there we go. Yes, there's some good promo pics on here from Sarah Jane. All this artwork, quite a bit of artwork that I did for the launch of the series, you know, of the characters and monsters and stuff. Lots of which I hadn't seen before until, or at least not in high resolution, like publicly available and stuff, until relatively recently, like when I discovered this site a few years ago. But yeah, we've got people in the chat talking about rewatching Sarah Jane. Yeah, I need to rewatch it myself, really. Because like for the 10th anniversary, wasn't it, back in 2017? I watched some of it for that. Like to prepare, because I went to the Attic, the convention, that year. But sort of since then, I haven't really watched any of it. So it's definitely something which, yeah, I guess I'm sort of just leaving it for a rainy day, so to speak, or whatever. You know, leaving it to come back to one day. Because yeah, it's, you know, it's iconic and it's great. It's great fun, and just such a sort of happy accident, I suppose, that this show even ended up happening. It could very easily have not happened. Like if Doctor Who had never come back, Elizabeth Sladen and the character of Sarah Jane would not have received this renaissance. But the fact that they did is really great. Yes, Alex really points out in the chat, it is now on BritBox. Yes, I've got BritBox myself, so maybe that's how I'll go back to it. Have I got this right? I don't know if... I know that series 4 and 5, I think, were released on Blu-ray, which means they must have been shot in HD. Was series 3 shot in HD as well? I'm not quite sure how much of it was and wasn't shot in HD. Was all of it shot in HD? I'm not sure on that one. I know Torchwood was. All of Torchwood was shot in HD. Mad that all of Torchwood was, but Doctor Who wasn't until 2009. There was a real sort of delay there when you compare them. Yeah, these shots are really weird. Like, they're cool, but they're weird. Like with this orangey background, all the characters. But great. Hey, great to have. That's great. By the end of the stream, I'll have an entire set of series 1 and 2 promo pics on my personal archive, and also series 1 of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Hooven Espresso Extra has an answer for me. So series 3 to 5 was shot in HD plus the comic relief special. Right, yes, I get you. Okay, so that's right, because they've only ever released series 3, 4 and 5 on Blu-ray individually, haven't they? The big DVD box set, which Who's Books is talking about there as well, that was only ever released on DVD, wasn't it? Standard definition. Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame, really, but there we go. Yeah, I mean, I've just got the individual DVDs myself. Yeah, up on the shelf, just seeing them over there. Yeah. Luke Smith. Yeah, so we're with Sarah Jane, because obviously I suppose as well there was the little renaissance in lockdown when it feels like quite recently, but that was like 2 years ago now, wasn't it, when we had all the lockdown watch-longs and shorts and stuff. But obviously there was Goodbye Sarah Jane Smith, whatever it was called. No, was it called that? No, that was the title of the series 4 episode, wasn't it? No. Whatever the lockdown thing was called. That they made, that Russell T Davies wrote. Yeah, obviously there was a sort of new influx of love and appreciation for the show then. But it's a weird one. I feel like since that Attic event back in 2017, and since the show's 10th anniversary that year, it doesn't really get talked about a lot, which is a bit of a shame. In fact, actually, having said that, in the next issue of the Doctor Who Chronicles from Doctor Who magazine, which is due at the end of February, but they're always late, or they never turn up in shops at the right time, whatever. They're not distributed properly. But I believe there's going to be an article in that, isn't there? I think someone even told me that in this stream a few weeks ago, maybe last week. Someone told me that there was going to be an article on Sarah Jane in that magazine, so that'd be great to see. But yeah, I feel like it deserves more love, really. It's a weird little footnote in Doctor Who history, but definitely one that deserves to be celebrated. Crikey, that's horrible, isn't it? The Gorgon episode, obviously there. Yeah, there's some cool stuff with it. Like in series 1, you know, alone, you get your sort of haunted nunnery thing going on there with the whatever she was called, like the high priest nun or whatever she was called. I can't remember. The abbot, whatever. Abbot? I don't know what she's called. Oh, hey, it's the guy that was in Wars of Mars. Interesting. Yeah, so you get these sort of video gamey stories as well with these guys, with the Kudlak. And then what else? We got the Slitheen story as well, obviously, because that was sort of like the after the pilot, that was like the second. That was the second, like, second opening episode, wasn't it? In a manner of speaking. Yeah, that was weird. That was weird because the pilot episode, then the series sort of officially started in the autumn with Revenge of the Slitheen. But yeah, and then you had, what do you have? Oh yeah, the Slitheen came back at the end of the series for the Lost Boy, and that rounds off his set, I think, doesn't it? Oh, of course, the Trickster and Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane. That was episode 5, probably the highlight of that season. Actually, that was a really great story. That one. Yeah, I do love that. So that's all of the Sarah Jane adventures. Well, series 1 at least. We will come back to the later seasons some other time. But yeah, there we go. We got through quite a lot today. The whole of series 2, Runaway Bride, and Sarah Jane Adventures series 1. So I think we'll close it off there. I know there are people that wants me to do Torchwood. I mean, let's very briefly just scroll through them. You know, I'll we'll do this in more depth next time maybe, but there's some cool Torchwood stuff on here. Some of the artwork. I mean, again, there was so much artwork, like all this stuff, like you know, with the Rift monumenty thing and everything that they made to sort of yeah, like launch that series. Yeah, so the characters. I mean, we'll go through these in more detail at some point. That's a cool image there of Susie. That's literally it, actually. But yeah, that's the series 1 stuff, and they've got series 2 and series 3 stuff as well, and series 4 even. So yeah, lots more to get our teeth stuck into, and obviously all of Classic Who as well. And the Black Archive. I mean, there's stuff on here that's not on that other website I was on. Like, for example, stuff like this, you know. If it'll load. If I'm going to copy that across, that's awesome, that. That's a really cool picture, actually. I don't think I've ever seen that before, actually. That's a really fantastic image. Yeah, of course, things like this as well. The iconic Radio Times cover, fold-out cover with monsters on it, and your dodgy cat. Yes, this site is well worth a look as well, and behind the scenes images here. Alright, so these are from the shoot for that that Radio Times cover. Oh, that's when they were sort of doing it without the actors as well. Yeah, I mean, this sort of deserves a stream in itself, really. I got all these as well, the sort of like the graphics that were on all the merchandise. All this stuff, look. So yeah, this is well worth a look, basically, if well, if you're into this sort of thing. And there's other stuff as well, you know, that's like these, for instance. I didn't know these existed. Like white background images of Cassandra and crikey, I didn't know that was in the public domain. That's really cool. And like these images here of Rose and the Doctor as well. I think I'm gonna have to come back to these in a future stream. We'll revisit series 1 and 2, but do it on the Black Archive and see what other extra bonus stuff they have there. Got some medium res ones as well. Yeah, but yeah, links in the description for all that sort of stuff. For this DVD Bash website, which we've been using today, and the Black Archive as well, if you want to check out any of this stuff yourself. But yeah, we will wind down now. So once again, thank you so much for watching this stream. If you are still here, please do leave a like if you haven't already. That'd be great. And yeah, you know, just Patreon's there if it floats your boat. But I understand that not everyone, you know, it's not something that everyone is interested in or can do or whatever. So yeah, there'll be more of these in future weeks. We'll be covering more stuff. We'll do a series 3-1 next time. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. So thanks for watching. I will leave you once again with Catherine Tate, as is tradition now, really. And yeah, end the stream now. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. And yeah, bye for now.